It's a heritage craft, which means in some ways it's considered endangered, that not that many people are doing it anymore. But honestly, I can't wait to do it again. This summer, I'm treating Nantucket Island like summer camp, exploring new activities like pottery, collage, paper marbling, and so much more. You can try so many artistic pursuits on this island. So if you see something new that you want to try, join me for Camp Nantucket. Hello and welcome to Camp Nantucket. I'm Betsy Bush, your host of Your Creative Midlife. How would you like to try something completely new? That's what I'm doing with my summer, calling it summer camp. Let's try new things. How about paper marbling? Look at this. I made these marbled papers and then turned it into a clamshell box. Look at this. Look at this tray. And I could not be more thrilled. Look at that. That's a page from a book. So it's kind of collaged. I am so excited to have tried this. Where did I learn to do this? On Nantucket at the Nantucket Historical Association, which has a whole line of what they're calling heritage crafts, workshops, 1-day workshops, 3-day workshops, which is what this was. So let me take you along to show you all about how I learned about paper marbling. The Nantucket Historical Association has the Whaling Museum in town, which is an absolute must-see. You'll understand so much about Nantucket and the history of Nantucket once you go there. So absolutely go to the Whaling Museum. But they have a robust heritage crafts department where you can learn to do so many different things. And I signed up to do one of these things that fascinated me, which was learning how to make marbled paper, just like Renaissance Florence or Venice. So this is what I learned. Here is the studio with the frames for paper. And it's pretty messy. There's a kind of gelatin substance in these frames, and you put the paint on top of this gelatin, and it keeps the paints from coming together and getting muddy. So you keep the colors separate while you manipulate them to get the marbled paper patterns. Our instructor, Mary LaCourcier, who's also head of the Heritage Crafts Department, showed us how it's done. Here she is laying down paints. Then she takes a comb and rakes through the colors side to side to spread out the colors evenly across inside the frame. Then the patterns are really made when the comb goes up and down. It's easier when you see it, which is kind of the whole point. And here is the paper. Here is one of my early tries. You can see how the paints float on top of the gelatin surface. Here I am trying to comb with one hand while photographing it. Not great. Again, an early try, and here's what it looked like. It's okay, but I'm not that crazy about it. Here is one of my classmates working on her paper, the big reveal, pulling up the paper. It really was unpredictable, at least for us beginners, to estimate what the result would look like. This was my experiment. These unlikely gobs of paint that look like some kind of unappetizing lunch meat. Here I am combing through. I was determined to be disciplined enough to make a chevron pattern. And this is the result. Wow, look at all these gorgeous papers. The marbling wasn't difficult, but the equipment, the frames, and the combs were specialized. The paper was treated with alum, which you can do yourself, but again, you need to know how to do it, and you have to have space to hang up the wet papers to dry. Next day, we met at the 1800 house, which is at 4 Mill Street on a charming historic street a little outside of the old commercial district. The 1800 house is where most of the heritage craft classes take place. Here are some examples of the different crafts they offer. I hope to talk more about this in an upcoming episode of Camp Nantucket. Here are my papers from yesterday. The papers will be ready to use once they're waxed and burnished with a polishing stone. Then we started to build the boxes with pre-cut pieces of cardboard. We were given templates to trace and cut the papers to cover each side of the box and the tray. And here's the result. I can't tell you how much fun this was, and I can't wait to do it again. Let me show you some of my experimental papers. So I think you saw this one already. Again, it's hard to know what colors are going to come forward on the paper. I think it takes a lot of practice to figure that out. Here's another one. This is interesting, right? All of these different patterns have names. This might be something like angel wings. You know, here's also one. I didn't use much purple, but I thought this was interesting. And here I'll show you some of my experiments. How about this one? That's a little different, right? I kind of like that. Again, it takes a lot of discipline to do two pieces of paper pretty much look the same. How about this one? This is just, globs of paint, and it looks kind of psychedelic in 60s, right? So again, I had so much fun. It's a heritage craft, which means in some ways it's considered endangered, that not that many people are doing it anymore. But honestly, I can't wait to do it again and cover more clamshell boxes or little band boxes or all sorts of things. I want to do a portfolio to hold my collage art, and to do something with marbled paper that I made myself would just make my heart sing. I'm Betsy Bush from Camp Nantucket. I hope I inspired you to explore something new and different. And I would love to hear what you're doing. Please send me a note through my website, yourcreativemidlife.com.